The eventual destination of this voyage was Nagasaki. On September the 2nd, the signing of the Japanese instrument of surrender on the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay took place. Approximately 2 weeks later, in mid-September 1945, the two LSTs arrive in Japan. Sasebo, anchoring overnight in Sasebo, and the next day you go into Nagasaki. You were at that time a buck sergeant, the U.S. Army, attached to the 2nd Marine Division, and your unit would stay there until December 15th, 1945. Dick, what was your mission when you went into Nagasaki?
Well, we were a combat engineer battalion, and so basically it was to put the infrastructure back together so that operations could continue. But I have an excerpt of about 100 words here out of a government report that was published in 1985, in which my outfit is singled out by name and all, so I'll just read briefly from it. The 1298th Engineer Combat Battalion, consisting of 791 troops, arrived in Nagasaki on September 26 and immediately joined the engineer group. The troops were housed in the Aurora School, about 2.6 miles southwest of Ground Zero. The battalion's primary mission was to repair and maintain roads and bridges from northern Nagasaki to southern Nagasaki. They also constructed an airstrip, which was affectionately known as Atomic Field, for liaison aircraft about 800 to 1,000 feet southeast of Ground Zero. This operation required one platoon from Company A and took 12 days to complete. The operation took place between the 30th of September and the 11th of October. On October 31st, the battalion began operation of a quarry near the airstrip. Japanese labor was used as much as possible for the projects accomplished by the engineering group. For example, 350 Japanese laborers were needed for the construction of the airstrip by the 1298th, and at least 150 Japanese laborers were employed per day by this group on other projects.
Does that statement of the mission fit fairly well with your experience?
Yeah, as I remember, the only thing I remember in addition to that is there were a lot of, since Nagasaki was on a bay, there were a lot of tributaries fed into the bay, and the bridges across them were pretty well destroyed, and so we used what was referred to as a Bailey Bridge for a temporary expedient to cross it. That's a bridge that's like a big erector set, and panels are about 4 by, like a sheet of plywood, only they're about 6 inches thick, and they hook together with pins. You drive a pin in to hold them together. It can be assembled on one side of the crossing, and then it is a launching nose, and you push it out over the tributary that you're crossing, and as you keep adding on, it balances itself until you reach the other side.
Dick, you also took some pictures in Nagasaki during your stay there, and if you could
I'll comment on them.
Comment on those as we go through.
Okay. If we can have the pictures, I'll start. There's the LST that we landed on. 870 is on the left there. That was mine. And as you can see, an LST doesn't need a dock or anything. You just ram it right up onto the land and start unloading. The front bay doors open up, and you can see there's a bulldozer come down off the one on the left. Next one, please. That's a view of Nagasaki from up on the hill where our camp was made, and you can see the configuration. It's a valley, and on the left edge you can see some of the bay, but also in the background you can see some high hills. Some people might refer to them as mountains. It just depends upon what part of the country you're from, whether those are hills or mountains, but it gives you an idea of the terrain. That's a picture of a bombed out area, a factory area, because Nagasaki was predominantly a manufacturing town. That's why it became a target. But if you look closer, you can see those hills that I mentioned in the background, and they were just peppered full of caves. And in those caves were, I can remember going through them, a complete machine shop in one. They had lathes and drill presses and everything imagined. And electricity was still on in that one. Next one, please. Just some more of the rubble of the ruins, looking toward the motor pool where we had our equipment stored in the background in that picture. That's another picture of Nagasaki, and if you notice, there is a semblance of a road going across that picture, and that was the main thoroughfare, which we kind of christened or dubbed it Hollywood Boulevard. And you also see on the extreme upper right corner a semblance of a building. That was the remnants of a hospital. And that's another shot up closer with the hospital in the background and the Shinto shrine and closer to the foreground on the right there. And next picture is a bombed out area showing a factory building, and you also can see the hills in the background. At this, can I have the next picture, please? Some of the bombed out area where picked up some souvenirs. And I'd like to point out at this juncture that not all the destruction and devastation you've seen in these pictures is attributed to the one and only bomb, because prior to the atomic bomb being dropped, Nagasaki had been bombed very heavily with conventional incendiary bombs, and because most of their construction was wood and timber, mostly bamboo, the incendiary bombs were very effective. Next picture, please. There's a picture of some sake cups, if you'll notice on the lower left-hand corner there, that was picked up in some of the rubble that we've been showing in the pictures. Those cups, they're on the table here in front of me. Bruce and I took them down to the hospital in Chester, and what you see here is one of their technicians using a Geiger counter to check these sake cups for any signs of radiation. And you're probably interested in the results, and the results were pretty much as I had expected after 64 years. There was some minor evidence, but the readings, although they were a little higher than the normal background readings that you would expect, there were nothing to be alarmed or nothing of any significance. So, in a word, not to worry.